Hello, I am Dr. Jordan Harris, LMFTS, licensed marriage and family therapy supervisor, licensed professional counselor and supervisor. And I'm a specialist in two things, process coding and deliberate practice. Now, what does that mean? That's sort of esoteric terms. Basically, I help people solve the Monday morning problem. I help counselors solve the Monday morning problem. The Monday morning problem goes like this. You go to a training, you go to a trauma-focused CBT training, you go to a EMDR training, you go to an exposure therapy training, and you see some trainer show a video of the most beautiful work you've ever seen in your entire life. And you think, that's amazing. I want to do that. That looks so cool. So you do all the demos during the training. Monday morning, you come back to your office, you have an intake. They come and sit down, and they tell you basically the same story that you just watched be solved in the live, right? In the demo from the training. And so you say, "Oh, great. I have the solution to your problems. You're coming in for anxiety, I can do exposure, right? You're coming in for trauma, I can do EMDR. You're coming in for couples, I can do EFT." And you then proceed to try to do the thing and it doesn't work at all, right? It halfway works, it falls apart, but however it happens, it sort of blows up in your face. Um, and the question is, why did it work over the weekend but not Monday morning in my office? I and the big idea of everything is that the people who are doing these trainings, these sort of amazing therapists, they're doing a handful of small micro skills and they are unaware that they're doing those sorts of skills. So they're not teaching them to you in the training. And so if you want to do what they do, you need to, one, be able to observe them, observe what these skills are in action, and then two, be able to reproduce them in your own behavior. And those two ideas, the skill to observe and the skill to reproduce, are what we mean by process coding and deliberate practice. Researchers, therapy researchers, they code different therapy processes. They label different things that happen in therapy according to these sort of research-based rubrics. So a lot of the things that the experts are doing in these demos is already codified by researchers back in labs. It's just never made the leap to you, to me, to the average therapist. And then the way that we have to train these skills once we see them is through the science of deliberate practice. Um, I actually was able to be lead author on a book about this, multicultural orientation and deliberate practice in therapy, published by the APA. You can find it, you know, anywhere you can find a book. I work with Cintio, teaching that process coding class. Cintio is a graduate level program. It's all about teaching counselors hard skills in a very nuanced and discernible sort of way. So that's my background. That's what I do. That's why I do what I do. If you want to follow up with that sort of stuff, I have a ton of stuff on my website. I'll put all of it in the bio. But what I wanted to do today, I usually blog. It's like my thing. It's like blog about all the stuff that I've learned about therapy. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I was recently contacted by Tori Olds, who's a therapist trainer, and she does a lot of work with experiential therapies. And we've been collaborating on different projects recently. And I was like, Tori, you do a lot of really good things that I don't think that you know that you're doing. So what if I made a video series and, you know, looked at some of your tapes and pointed out some of the reasons why you're really good at what you're doing? And so she was willing to give me access to some of her demos. They're demos of her working with a fake client, but demonstrating real therapy skills. And I'm just going to go through these. We're not going to go through all of them today, obviously, but I did want to take a few minutes and just talk about, um, do this almost as like a demo, as like a test run. And if you guys like it, if people want to see more of this, I'm happy to create more of this sort of content so that you can learn the skills of these really talented therapists. Because I think that's what we want. We want to be really good therapists, right? And we have this Monday morning problem, and it's not really quite fixing the problem. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to do just a few minutes. And I'm going to break down part of what Tori is doing here. And again, um, she has a specific model. She does Bruce Eckhart's coherence therapy, but she's really tuned in, I think, even broader than that, to the experiential space of therapy. Let me make sure that this is right. Um, so I think this will be applicable to you regardless of your model. And my big idea is that it's not just about the model you're using. It's about all the micro skills that go into it. And I have been trained in four themes that we'll be looking at these micro skills. One, client motivation and resistance. That's the first one. The second thing that we'll be looking at in this series, in this sort of video, is therapist persuasiveness. Right? There's sort of 2 points, two sides of the same coin. How motivated is my client, or are they resisting the therapy or sort of the therapist? And then how persuasive is the therapist? So that's the first two things. We're also going to be looking at body language stuff. That's oftentimes the most trickiest one because it can be very subjective, but I'm going to try to stick to some really hard and fast sort of rules here. And then also client experiencing. This is the trickiest for therapists to really get because what we're really trying to see is how much is this client not just feeling different things, not just thinking different things, but able to talk about their inner world. Clients often talk about things that are external to them, that are outside of them. It's not really what's going on inside of them. And then silences. According to some research, there are 7 different kinds of silences that clients do in therapy. And I think that these are really helpful because if you can read the type of silence that the client is giving you, it's really clear on how to respond. So, Uh, we'll go through all of that as we go through this video. I don't want to overload anyone with all the information, but this is Tori, and I'm just going to watch some of this and give a few thoughts as we watch this. We'll watch maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Playing my client. So I know that Dr. Howard sent you to speak with me today after having had something difficult happen. She thought it might help you to come talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sure she already told you, but I was assaulted this week and held at gunpoint. And so, yeah, I'm just coming to kind of work through that with you.
Okay, so this week?
Well, it's actually 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, that's just but it's recent.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you.
So right off the bat, we have a client who's presenting with a single incident trauma, right? I had this very vivid thing that happened to me 2 weeks ago, and I need to work through it because it's maybe causing her some sort of PTSD.
Took her up on the idea of coming, and I really appreciate, before we even start, just kind of appreciating the fact that you came here to talk with me, a stranger, at a new office, just what it might have taken to get here today.
Yeah.
So I think this is really important, right? The first thing that Tori does is offer this client some validation and affirmation for coming in. We often overlook how emotionally taxing it is on clients to even show up for the first session. I mean, it's really vulnerable to talk to people. So this is seeding a lot of safety. It's really great work.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I was conflicted in a way because it does, no, I mean, I definitely don't like the idea of thinking about this or talking about it. But at the same time, I really like to just move forward and get through things.
That's who you are as a part of you? Because I just noticed
yeah.
this gesture was very clear.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're someone who likes to face things and move forward.
Yes.
So just take a second.
So I have never seen this tape. This is a blind reaction. Um, I'm gonna, I wonder if 2 things are happening. First, the client is telling us probably, and I think Tori picks up on this really quickly, a life pattern for this client. It could be that this is the kind of person who pushes forward through emotional pain. And on the one hand, if it's like I'm facing this, so that's good, which is how the client is sort of talking about it, then it's a healthy thing, right? I'm addressing this issue. My hunch is what Tori's picking up on is if this is a larger theme for this person, then what that might mean is that they sort of blunder through emotional pain, trying to get away from it as fast as possible, which is actually a form of avoidance. The other thing that Tori does is she does what we call immediacy. One of the best ways from a body language perspective of addressing what people are doing with their bodies through immediacy is basically where you offer a reflection based off what someone does physically. So she's like, I noticed you did this with your hand. Right? That skill is called immediacy. And it's a way to check in with the client oftentimes, right? If it's almost like a reflection, and that you're checking instead of what they're saying, checking in with what their body is saying.
So we're going to take a moment with these pieces because they're so important that you already know this about yourself. You like to face things and move. So just feel like that feels clear to you about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so see if you can get a beat on that a little. Like just remember that's part of who you are. And just see if you can feel that part.
It actually feels really good because like one of the biggest things about this experience is I haven't felt myself in the whole last 2 weeks.
So what kind of, yeah, so that's affirming or reassuring to
Yeah,
it feels like a little
actually.
more like you. And how
Yeah.
does that feel inside?
Just
This is another really important thing. So we've talked about body language. Let's also talk about experiencing. It would be very easy for this client to talk about not her inner experience, but everything else. This is what happened in the past. This is what they did to me. This is what it reminds me of from other people in my past. Um, or to be kind of vague. Yeah, it sort of hurts, but it sort of feels uncomfortable, like all these words that aren't very specific. And if you sort of summarize this, what often happens in therapy is that clients talk about things in a way that are as external, that is vague, and that is past, sometimes future focused. That's very different than talking about something, than talking about your inner experience in a way that is not only internal, but also specific and present. And what Tori is doing, I mean, we're like 30 seconds into this clip, is she's already prompting the client to be internal, specific, and concrete, and to internal, specific, and present, instead of external or vague or past focused. Now, why does this matter? This matters because there's a ton of research that shows the more clients are able to be internal, specific, and present, the more likely they are to have a really impactful therapeutic level change. And the flip side of that is the more clients are external or talking about the past or speaking in ways that are vague, the less likely they are to have a change. So on the one hand, Tori is like just going for it right from the beginning, which is really beautiful. Um, Sometimes though, clients don't quite get what you're doing. And so this pretend client here is actually following a lot better than I think other clients would follow this early into treatment. Still, you got to give Tori kudos for just going right for it because I think what happens more often than not is that we don't go for it. We don't push clients. We don't ask them to be internal, specific, and present. And then they don't, and then they like never do it. And then they keep getting lost and spinning. And at the worst, they don't feel better. And at our worst, we feel like we're just a rent-a-friend, letting people vent, which is not fun.
kind of makes me a little more relaxed or just I I don't know, it feels really good to kind of get in touch with that because I feel
Mm-hmm.
I've just felt so foggy.
So just gonna take your time then. It's really important. Take your time.
Okay.
Yeah. See how that feels in your body. Yeah, any words to describe when you said feel more relaxed? Is it through your core? Is it in your limbs?
My core, my down here.
Okay. All right. So,
This is another skill from the experiencing, right? The question then becomes, if experiencing is really important, how do we help clients to do it? And there's a bunch of different techniques you can use. One of the big ones is having people simply slow down. It is hard to be in touch with your inner world if you're moving and you're fast paced and you're going, going, going. And so to have people actually slow down, take time, check in with themselves is one of the main interventions. If you want them to have um, a deeper level, a deeper contact to their inner experience. So,
it's worth spending a little time because we're probably going to perhaps go over some more difficult terrain today. So to kind of remember your strength or your, this part that can face things that feels like to you. Yeah, not a bad thing to slow down with.
and she then ends with the sort of affirmation. This is also important. One of the things that I think is underrated in therapy is this idea of positive connotation, right? Um, it's a form of affirmation, but it's basically you're framing what clients are doing in a way that has a positive intent. And what that really helps to do is it's really affirming of the client, and it helps them to feel more safe in the work that you guys are like doing. Um, which means that it actually allows them to go deeper later on in therapy, right? Very often we are afraid to go deep because we feel like it's going to be overwhelming. What's going to happen if I fail? Is this person judging us? And so by giving a lot of support up front, by giving a positive connotation to what the client is doing, it really helps them to feel safe and sort of held in a therapeutic relationship, which allows them to go deeper, which allows them to have more experience, which means that they can actually have a profound change. So that's a short video clip of Tori. I want to do more of these. If you guys think this is really helpful, please let me know. And also, if you guys are interested in Tori's work, I'll put some of that in the bio and links below. Okay. All right. Dr. Jordan Harris signing off.